Hello, folks. We're just getting some stuff down before we start stream proper. So, yeah, just hang out for a bit. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome on in. I hope everyone's doing okay. Also, my audio seems to be like being choked out. Hold on. Let's see if I swap it, it's better. Okay, how does this look? About the same, but this one seems a little bit more loud. Okay. I think we're good. All right, hi everybody, welcome on in. Thank you so much for showing up and being here. I really, really appreciate it. And apologies for being a little later than usual. It has been, I slept really late yesterday trying to get some stuff done. And when I woke up, I was like, bleh, so tired. I just needed a bit more time to kind of get ready and a bit more time to feed the baby boy. Of course, he's decided he is too distracted to want to eat right now. So I just left his food out. And hopefully, he'll get back to it. Alright, and we're also going to be cam off today, folks. Just so I can have a nice chill time. So let us hop over to Just Chatting Cam Off. Hello! Let me say hi to everybody who's been in the chat. Hello, Surrybot. Thank you for keeping this community nice and safe. Hello, Kai. How you doing? Enjoy your lurk. Hi, Azra. Hello, Jovi. Hi, Gail. Hi, Grace. Lovely to see you all. I already said hi to Jovi. Hi, Hex. Hope you're doing all right. I know that you're probably working on your prep. No problem at all. No problem at all. And hello, Puck. Lovely to see you all here. Welcome on in. I think I've said hi to everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. Happy time zone. Good evening to most of you. Good morning to me. Yes, it is indeed morning. And I'm an EP guy. Just a little EP. Just the tiniest EP guy. I'll go look at what's going on my microphone, because it's not usually quite like this. Huh. Very weird. Anyway. But welcome on in, everybody. Today, we're going to be continuing our Havoc game jam from Rowan, Rook, and Deckard. We're going to start by, you know, obviously talking about like what goes into the design process, or what you need to actually get writing, right? Put words on the page. Everyone has this question. I know I had it when I was first designing games. I was like, at what point do I get to write the thing? And if so, where do I start? You know what I mean? So that's what we're going to be tackling today. But those of y'all who are new to my community, also hello to the YouTube chat. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Valiant Doran, also known as Otso Spirit Bear. I'm a TTRPG actual play performer, Twitch variety streamer, game designer, TTRPG creator, wearer of too many hats. And you can find me over on the socials at Valiant Doran or at Otso Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure I have to say you on. I have a tiny little goal for myself. Tiny little goal for myself. And that tiny little goal is for me to hit 1K followers over on Instagram. So if y'all are considering following me on Instagram, I would really appreciate it if you follow me at Valiant Dorian over on Instagram. That would be awesome. So that's Instagram. That's Instagram. So that's my little goal, my little request. Another thing is, folks, if you are new to this page, we do have a Discord. Our Discord is super chill. It's not going to flood your notifications by any stretch of the imagination. It's a very, very chill community, but we talk about stuff. There's tabletop stuff, gaming stuff, cool shows we've watching, cool recipes, tarot and witchcraft. Lots of cool stuff happening over my Discord, where we build community and resources for community and genuine connections without overloading your Discord and your capacity. So please consider joining our Discord. And if you want to support the show further, folks, please consider pledging to my Patreon. Even at the free tier, you get exclusive upgrades. Exclusive updates. Tier star as low as $1 a month, and you can get early access to Dicey Bear episodes, works in progress, and much more, including Val Reacts episodes, which is wild. I got a new show on there called Val Reacts, where I do no editing and sit in front of a thing, watch it, and react and talk to you guys about it. So consider pledging my Patreon. Again, tier star as low as $1 a month, and all the monies go straight into funding the show and funding like the things I need to improve my production, honestly. But yeah, thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. I do want to highlight, folks, that Transparent RPG will be back this weekend, but not for a Chaos Protocol stream. We'll be doing a community stream of Sock Puppet Court. It's time for us to seek justice and witness the bonkening. So I hope to see you all there on Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, over twitch.tv/TransparentRPG. And also want to highlight to folks that the latest episode of my of the podcast that I was in, called Moonlight Roseville Beach by Queer RPG, is now out. Please go ahead and check it out wherever you podcast. It's Exclamation Point Moonlight. All right, we did it. We did it. We talked through everything. All right, thanks y'all. Thank you for hearing through all my spiel. Shall we get started? I think we can get started, y'all. I think we can get started. Let me get my window actually going, maybe. So last time, for those of y'all who, one, weren't here last time, and two, do not remember what we did last time, we began sort of like concepting our game, which is what I would say is the best first step in all of this, right? Is the best thing to do is to begin by concepting your game, or what you want your game to look like, because you might have a bajillion ideas. I don't know why this tab looks like this. Oh, there we go. And once you start concepting, you have like a better idea of what you have and what you don't have and what you need more time for, and whether you need to spend more time concepting, right? This is super, super important. I've gotten a little faster about it over the time, but don't be afraid to spend longer on concepting. So let me do my screen share. I'm off. Thank you for the hydrate, Puck. Oh my god, I forgot my water bottle. I knew I forgot something. Let me go grab it. The kitchen's right there. The kitchen is right there. Alright, got my water. Thank you, Puck, for redeeming a hydrate. I'm gonna chug some water right now. I invite everybody to also chug their water. I know some of y'all be existing not being hydrated. Okay, we're back. All right, so let's go and look at our game jam stuff. So this was our concept thing. Y'all read that? Maybe 200% is just better for everyone. There we go. That's a lot better, isn't it? Yeah, more readable. So we voted on monsters taking down the hunters before they get to you as a initial concept, and then we did a bit of an exercise that was illustrated by the honestly very, very helpful toolkit for designing a game within the Havoc engine. And we wrote out, you know, what sort of identities these characters will have, highlighting the types of characters we can have, and we've really keyed in on this idea of like unfathomable monsters that hold a similar mystique and gravitas to kaiju while not necessarily being that size. And we talked about some key questions for us to consider with regards to the game, right? We've talked about, what is the source of the conflict? Do the hunters need resources? Are the monsters dangerous in some way? Or are they just in the way? We talk about what the monsters represent, what makes them wanted or unwanted. What is the in-world urgency to act now? What is the source of the time limit? And how have the monsters reacted or responded to being hunted? And then we have, of course, the unifying identity of Forsaken Beasts. We've added some general names of what the titles of these characters would look like. And then the goal is to save one of your fellow beasts by taking the fight to the hunters. So that's the vibe. That's the concept that we are going with. That is the concept we're going with, which is very, very fun. So, with this in mind, I think we're done concepting. I think we can start getting to work on the writing itself. Let's also bring up our Havoc engine. We've got 19 days to write this out, folks. 19 days. So let's do that. We have to get writing because, there's a deadline, right? So, if you have a toolkit like this, going with what the toolkit recommends you start with, which is usually like how it outlines itself, is a great way to know where to start. But every game that you design is going to be different, right? In where you want to start designing from. I'm trying to think of examples. So, Devorare Patron, for example. As y'all remember, I designed that game on stream. Devorare Patron, when I was designing it, right? When I was deciding it, I started with the mechanics. I started with the mechanics. Why did I start with the mechanics? Because the game jam required me to write this game in 48 words or less. So I had to start there. There's no point me writing flavor text first at that point, right? At least in my way of writing it. There's no point me writing the flavor text if I knew I'd chuck them out first anyway. And I think I didn't know at the time when I was first designing it if I could have that flavor text. And then we read the game jam, and I was like, oh, I can have an introduction, so I'll write an introduction. But yeah, I started with the mechanics. I concepted the game, and then I had to do some research on what the mechanics needed to be. So that's Divorare. I started with this portion of the game. I was like, all right, 2d6, assigning stats, and then like rolling, like feeling a tracker, and then like naming this. This is what I started with, right? After concepting. But remember, we took some time in the concepting stage because we wanted to have a really strong concept. And then with self-assurance is different. Self-assurance, I started with a lot of the flavor first. And even though this was a 36-word game jam, with self-assurance, I spent quite a bit of time figuring out the flavor. I was figuring out whether, okay, who are the people? It is a Challenger and Nosura. What is the vibe? What is the setting? I like spent a lot more time crafting that out, obviously to a higher verbosity than it needed to be. And then I pared it down with whatever mechanic I was looking for, because it took me a while to figure out what the mechanic of self-assurance was going to be. So that was self-assurance. Hug that bear. Oh, this is a good one. Hug that bear. I think Keith and I went through systematically. We started with the concept, we wrote down flavor text for the concept, and then we wrote character creation, and then we wrote mechanics. Right? There was two of us, so the system was a little different because we had to like a lot of the time was us just kind of like sitting together and just talking about it. Right? Same thing with the Beast Within. The Beast Within, I started with the flavor, with the background, with the game, and then worked towards the dice and the mechanics and stuff like that. Things bloomed as things were being designed. So what am I saying here? I said all those examples. What was the point I'm trying to make? The point I'm trying to make is, depending on what your game you're trying to design, depending on whether you're hacking a system, right? There's going to be different ways of tackling a game, and that's without considering your own particular thinking style and designing style. Some people want to hammer out flavor first. Some people want to hammer out character stuff first. It really just depends on how you feel. So the game, the engine at the very least, the engine, just by its outline, talks about character first, right? Lots of things about character. But for me, knowing that the character bit is going to be a very, very time demanding, brain demanding section, right? I am probably not going to start with characters because I know what's going to happen with, by knowing myself, I know that I'm going to be stuck in the weeds a little more. I'm going to feel a little like, especially with a game with a very, very like strict deadline, you got to figure out what you can put on paper first. And that's a particularly like important thing for me to have to figure out, right? It's like, okay, what can I do here to basically figure out how to get things on paper faster so that I can keep things moving. Momentum is very, very important for me. And also, I imagine to a bunch of folks who are in the chat right now who also have, ADHD, obviously different experiences with ADHD, who might struggle with maintaining or beginning momentum. And this is, a thing that you have to think about when you're designing stuff like this. So here we are. So I'm looking at the character section being like, oh, this is the first stuff to think about. And I'm like, I don't know if that's going to be conducive. And then they talk about like narrative authority and things like that. Players can do anything. And then, but these are kind of tied to a lot of character stuff. So I find it very hard to kind of like write this first. But dice pool, I could hammer out a dice section, right? We can do this. We can read through this. We can hammer this out. Write it in a piece of, write out the text. And then we could probably just hammer this out. Additionally to that, we can also potentially, because this might actually help our character creation, hammer out what the names of our stats are and how many stats we're going to have. I think these are great points for us to start with. And now I'm going to turn to everyone in the chat. So, folks, after hearing my whole gigantic explanation of where to start, how to start, where I'm planning on starting with this Havoc engine, where would you have started? Where would you have started in writing this game? Would you have started chronologically? Would you start like with the flavor and everything and write down like a bunch of background information first, as if it were an introduction page? Would you have started with characters? Would you have started with the dice pool, with actions, with stats? Love to hear folks' thoughts in the chat. I would have got lost in the weeds of characters. I'm so glad that you had like the awareness, right? Because that took me a while to realize, was that I have a tendency of getting lost in the weeds if I start with certain things first. Like sometimes when I start with characters first, um, I believe we did the character stuff first in, um, Hug That Bear, because we did the flavor first, then we did the characters, then we did the dice. And I remembered when we were doing the character that I was just like rattling away with the character stuff, which left me very little time to actually do layout later. So that was something that I had to learn, right? That's something I do as I get lost in the weeds of characters. Same with the Beast Within. I got really lost in the weeds of the characters there. Thank goodness it's mostly done now. Thank goodness it's mostly done now, and we are at a different stage of production now. Player here, goodbye, bye Hex. I just jumped to where it feels good in the moment. I probably switch between flavor and stats as I think about them. Very interesting, very interesting. Maybe flavors and words. I struggle with deciding on specifics though. Yeah, and I think that the point I want to keep with folks here is that honestly, it shouldn't be a static thing. It shouldn't be a static and specific thing that you always draw. Some people might have a preference, which is fair and fine, as Gail has already mentioned that, that jumping between what feels good in the moment and jumping between flavor and stats and whatever, depending on how they're thinking about them. But it shouldn't have to be a static thing. It might change depending on the kind of game that you're designing, right? You could be so inspired by a game's flavor and the strength of that concept that you're like, I just want to hammer this out, right? And that's completely fine. That's completely fine. But it's just important to be aware of, and important to be very, very reflective, very aware of, because that will help you, and the game design will help you maintain momentum. So with that, thank you for indulging me, folks. Let's get cracking. So I think, because I'm looking at the dice pool stuff here, so Havoc runs on a pool of 6-sided dice. These are rolled. Any 3 or less are discarded, and the remaining successes are allocated to different mechanical outcomes. The fiction behind the action determines which of characters' traits to use. The GM may disallow use of certain stats based on the fiction. So, this is a back and forth. They're showing an example here. Results of 6 are criticals. All right. Oh, there's a Borkin boy. He's so distracted. And here's the rules on how to generate the dice pools, right? So they roll between 1 and 8 dice. It's made out of its base and additions. Decide which stat you're doing. You make additions determined by player choice, character abilities, and constraints of the fiction. So, with this, actually, it makes more sense for us to start with stats. I think if we decide what stats we want, it is going to make our lives so much more easier. I'm going to keep it on the concepts page because this is kind of our this is going to be our scratch pad essentially. And I recommend folks, when you're designing games, have a scratch pad. Whether your scratch pad is a page in Google Docs, if it is a little book, game design notebook that you carry around with you, it's good to have a scratch pad. It just lets you put stuff on paper in a non-committal way, but in a way that you're able to hold on to stuff if you need to. Okay, with that, let's think about stats. So let's go and hop to Eat the Reich. So Eat the Reich has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 stats here, right? The 7 stats are Brawl, a sort of a fighty stat. Con, which is a kind of like a Constitution stat. A how well you can tolerate stat. Fix, I'm assuming, is how you fix things, and it's like a mechanical thing. Search, which is like investigation. Shoot, which is using a gun. Sneak, which is sneaking off somewhere. And Terrify, right? which is cool. So there's 7 stats. All focus while fighting through occupied pirates to drink all of Hitler's blood. Right? Like that is the vibe here, right? Now, looking at these stats, let's think about, first of all, right? So here in the game engine, they're talking about like, oh, each stat is as valuable as any other in terms of effect it can have on the fiction of the game. Make sure they'll get used equally often, right? So, before we even think about naming it, because this is yet another thing that folks can get lost in the weeds in, right? Yeah, so this is actually a great exercise. Well done to Rowan Rook and Decker. This is a great exercise. We're going to, in fact, copy it. And we're going to paste it here. So, this is super good. These are great questions. So, we got, before we even think about naming these stats, we should think about what these stats even are. Not what they're called, what they are. All right, so let's go back to our concept here. Our concept is monsters. Monsters taking down hunters before they get you, right? So, what kind of things do we imagine the players need to roll? Simple, right? So, obviously, we gotta have a fighty one. Right? We're gonna have a fighty one. So we just put a bullet point. Bonk. We're gonna have one that's something to do with fighting. At the very least, we're gonna need something that we have to roll with fighting, right? For sure. Okay. Now, what else do we imagine these monsters are also going to do? I think that we're probably going to need something about their own sort of like resilience, right? Some sort of constitution, like a con or resilience, something like that. I think that's fair. I agree with Azra. I think there should be like a dex or an agility for sure. Something to do with speed. I think that's super important. I think they should also be a track. Some sort of tracking. And here's the thing, folks. Don't worry about it being too long. We can cut and adjust. Right? We can cut and adjust and move things around, rename things. It's fine. But it's good to get things on paper. So, we got fight. We got constitution and resilience. Some sort of agility. Some sort of tracking. What else do we imagine that these creatures might need? I think, in addition to tracking, there should be something about there was a Terrify that was in the Eat the Reich. I wonder if there is something similar. Something similar to this. It's sort of like big charisma-esque thing. I was also, great point there, Azra. I also want a stat for something otherworldly. Whether that's going to be the Terrify, whether that's going to be something else. Something otherworldly. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the Eat the Reich, we have 7 stats. What are the ideas do we think people would like to roll for this game? So we got fight. Obviously, they're gonna fight. Monster's gonna fight. It's the conceit of the game, right? They're obviously gonna have something with regards to their resilience. That should be really, really important. Something to do with their speed. Something to do with them tracking and looking for things. Because that's gonna be like a huge portion of their game. Obviously, the players are going to at some point like play with gravitas or something about their like presence, right? And then we're going to have and we're gonna want something otherworldly, right? We're gonna need something otherworldly because that's a thing that they will have. Not exactly charisma, because monsters, but ability to distract, confuse, convince, not just to do things. I don't know how to say what I'm thinking. I think I know what you mean, right? It feels weird to call it charisma, but I think like, you know, creatures have, and obviously we shouldn't get stuck in the weeds here with the name of the stat, but I think essentially what we're talking about is some sort of gravitas or presence. Some sort of gravitas or presence. I think that's fair to say. We're obviously going to name it different things, but this is, I think, a good place to start. Let's go back to looking at we're going to set, we're going to look again at the Havoc engine stats. Here's some other versions of the character sheets, right? We got hitting stuff, shouting, and being tough, right? We have the tiny character sheet. I think, excuse me, I think there should probably be brawl, con, fix, search, shoot, sneak, terrify. I think, hmm, I think there should be something insightful, insight, it's some sort of insight, some sort of instinct here. I think that should be one of them. Be able to like monsters and animals feel, right? To be able to sense what's going on. All right. I think we got our stats. So my question to everybody in the chat right now. So right now we have fight, some sort of constitution resilience stat, an agility stat, a tracking stat, a terrify or some sort of unnerving stat, something with regards to their otherworldly nature, and instinct/insight. Are there any other stats you think are missing? Like, think about this if you were players. Are there stats that you think are missing? Are there stats you feel are repetitive? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. Meanwhile, I'm gonna hydrate because I'm thirsty, so I'm talking a bunch. How is tracking distinct from instinct and insight? Uh, I can tell you that. I can tell you why. I think in my designer brain, I think they are different because the ability to earnestly track things. So let's think about monsters. Let's think about creatures we know. Let's think about creatures in real life, right? Like our own animals, right? I would say that a dog is a better tracker, especially if you get like a hound, right? Is like a better tracker than perhaps a gazelle would be. Because in their um in what they have evolved to do is different, right? Because again, we also have to think ahead to the characters that we are making. We're not making like a baseline, so of like, oh, you kind of craft your characters. We have set generated characters, so you want to make sure that they all feel very distinct from each other, right? So, for example, let's say you're playing the last dog on Earth. We'd probably give that guy a big tracking, high tracking stat, right? High tracking stat, right? Something like that. I think that animals may have different capacities. Creatures might have different capacities with regards to tracking, but they all have some type of instinct. And that instinct might be different, but like I feel like creature instinct is part of like survival, right? It's not just about reading situations, it's also about like, we know we joke about this. We joke about this all the time with like D&D, right? Like, oh, can I do a vibe check? Which is essentially insight, right? But you're doing a vibe check, right? And I think creatures do the same thing. If they're even in situations where they're not necessarily trying to read people, they're definitely doing an assess. I mean, think about every time you've seen a cat kind of like look around, swish their tail, sniff your finger, kind of like look at you, like things like that, right? I'm remembering also like when the baby elephants I saw on my work trip the other day, um, like last month, and how they like moved about, and how they were like, sussing out the vibes of the attendees, right? But you wouldn't say that the elephants were tracking the attendees, right? Because I think even the obviously we're gonna change the name, right? But I think like in the definitions of the thing, we know that there's a higher intentionality behind tracking versus instinct. Instinct should come natural. That's a very long-winded way of answering your questions, both both Gail and Azra. You both said it at the same time, which is very, very funny. But yes, I think they're distinct. I think they're different. But a good question to ask. A very good question. These are questions that, when you're designing and when you're building stuff like this, super important for you to ask yourself. Are these essentially the same thing? Are these essentially the same thing, When is one going to come up more than the other? Right? Things like that. So, now that we've hammered out kind of like the general vibe, let's talk about this thing. This thing is less certain compared to the others. So I would love to look at all of you and be. But I feel like we need to tap into the otherworldly thing. I don't fully know how. The shape, I feel the contours of it, but not quite what it is, right? But I do feel really strongly that we should have something otherworldly in here. So let's go back to our concept here. So we have gigantic creatures that are strange and unfathomable. Part of me, okay, and y'all can tell me if this is silly. Part of me wants to be like, this is where I want my players to pitch me weird shit. This is the part where I'm like, hey, you are an unfathomable creature. Anything to do with being an unfathomable creature, like descending into shadows or like um you know augmenting reality in a certain way, being weird and unsettled, like like all these other things should be in that stat, but that feels a little less like concrete than I would like it to be. But I would love to ask folks in the chat who have played TTRPGs, who enjoy TTRPGs, what would be a fun unfathomable concept or idea that you would love to lean into if you were playing something like this. Meanwhile, I'm gonna hop into the stats to see if we can find like a good name for it. Another direction we can go with the otherworldly bit is we could go in the direction of rage, because these are creatures who have been wronged. But again, I wouldn't know what that stat would necessarily entail, right? Oh, Puck has redeemed a stretch. Everyone, please join me in stretching. In fact, I'm gonna get up from my seat to do a little stretch. Good for your body, good for your bones. Gonna decompress my spine. Oh, that felt good. Thank you for the stretch. Appreciate it, Puck. But yes, we have to think about what unfathomable means. I think, not to draw from Call of Cthulhu, but I feel like Cthulhu has something like that, right? Or am I misremembering? I feel like Cthulhu has something like that. Let's see. Call of Cthulhu. I can spell. Cthulhu. That's. There you go. Investigator characteristics. Okay, it's power. Hi, baby boy. There's a whole bowl of food that's waiting with your name on it. Hmm? Did you forget? I think he forgot. All right, hold on, folks. I'm going to help him remember that he has food. We're going to take a quick BRB. I'll see you all in like a couple minutes. All right, see you in a bit. Thank you everyone for waiting. I appreciate it. Baby boy, too distracted to eat. Absolutely too distracted to eat. So, so with that, we will hop back in. Oh, of course, the second I want to hop back in, my tech is like, what? You want to get back to stream? I don't know about that one, my guy. I don't know about this one. And I'm like, please, for the love of Christ. I don't know about this one, fellas. Alright, hold on. But thank you all for your patience. My baby boy, sometimes he's been doing this thing these mornings sometimes where he just decides that he's too distracted. He wants to see what's going on outside more than he wants to eat. But he clearly wants to eat because I give him little bits and pieces. He wants it. He wants it bad, right? And then he'll eat it a little bit, and then he's like, oh, but I hear something outside. Dad, there's something outside. I want to fight it. All right, there we go. Now it should be fixed. Perfect. Perfect. All right. That should work and be fixed. Let's hop back in. Waha! All right. We were looking at the power characteristic, and I saw that Gale has suggested making make otherworldly an ability tied to how they've been wrong. Kind of take the ability to pitch a cool idea and tie it to whatever concepts they represent to make it more concrete. That's a great idea. Shiva is experiencing FOMO every morning of fear of missing outside and barking at people. So really, FOMO BAP. Fear of missing outside, barking at people. But you make a very good point there. You make a very good point there, Gale. Of this could be an ability. This could be this. Right? One of the abilities that could be consistent between all of the characters is, well, yeah, something to do with how they are wronged. So maybe we don't need a stat for it. Maybe we don't need a stat for it. Right? But that's the question. Do you think we need a stat for it? Like, we can make an ability. If we make an ability, do we need a stat? For how otherworldly something is. Or for how, you know, unfathomable something is. What does that even mean? When will they use it? I'd love to hear folks' idea in the chat while I drink water. I'm so thirsty this morning. A stat puts a number on how otherworldly something is, which I do feel defeats the point of otherworldly a tad, but that's just me. I agree. I agree. Maybe it is just 6 stats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Maybe it is just 6 stats. Let me hit the cross. Maybe it is just 6 stats. And the otherworldly comes from an ability. And we can also like pitch a question in the otherworldly ability of like, this is what it is for this particular character. Think about this particular question a bit more deeply when you're making a character, so you can really get into the wrong of it all. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make our lives easier by having less stats to worry about. Right? All right. We got general stats. Cool. Now, the next thing in the questions is, why do the characters need them? And when will they use each one? I think we kind of answered that. Actually, let me just grab this. These are the questions, right? And then we're gonna put, I think we answered all of these, right? Fight is to fight. Constitution is how resilient you are. Agility, tracking, terrify, instinct, insight. All right. So these are the stats, right? We got 6 stats. Pretty cool. Pretty awesome. Love that for us. Now, meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. We gotta think about. Now we gotta think about what names we want to give it. In what direction we want to go. Verbs are pretty direct, right? I like the idea of an adverb. I think that's fun, mostly because I haven't done one yet. There's, of course, adjectives. Something abstract. I like the idea of it being something abstract, too. But yeah. I think there's a lot of vibes we can go with, right? So, let's look at this. Let's look at the vibes. Right? If all the distinctions have something to do with how they're wronged and what creature they are, what feels cohesive for the vibes and the flavor? I don't know if adverbs are appropriate. Even though I really want to have a game where I use adverbs as stats, I don't know if that makes a ton of sense here, right? Does it make a ton of sense? What do y'all think? I don't know if these fit the vibe, right? Vengefully? But does vengeful match with fight? Everything is in pursuit of vengeance here. You know what I mean? We want to make sure that when these things are named, that, characters, we want players to be able to, upon glancing at something, know exactly what they're doing, right? Because otherwise, you might, sometimes it's fun. Sometimes when something feels a little bit more broader and has a bit more like a connotation to it, it can be really fun to play into for roleplay moments. But also, it is also important that because if you call fight vengefully, not only do you have to like make everything else an adverb, you have to make constitution, resilience, agility, tracking, terrify, instinct, all fit into the additional theme of vengefully that you've already established in fight. Do you see what I mean? Because it would feel weird, for example, like, it'd be really weird, for example, if you did vengefully for fight, and then for agility, you're like swiftly. Right? It shouldn't feel dissonant, but it does. I think you could do adverbs if you went through a list, so it'd be harder. Yeah. I mean, okay, so adverbs, we've discovered a challenge with adverbs, but I think we're all still quite interested in adverbs. So we're gonna keep it, we're gonna put it off to the side for a second, and then we're gonna look at abstract, right? I think abstract is a very interesting concept too. Hi, Jovi, welcome back. We're now thinking about naming our stats, so I think you came in at a nice time. We've got our 6 stats here. We'll figure out how to name them. And we've realized that, with adverbs is a bit challenging because whether these sort of words make sense for the vibe that we're writing for. But we're now looking at abstract really quick. Right? Because, with here, we could get fun with it, right? Like fight can be like violence. It can be, we can look at violence synonyms. Let's look at some synonyms, right? Mayhem. That's really fun. Right. Okay, we've got some interesting directions here. Let's add fight. Duel, wrestle, combat, beat. Hmm. Hmm. I think we're touching something here. Fight. Clash, skirmish, fracas. Interesting. Altercation, melee. Interesting. Conflict. I'm trying to also think about like when creatures fight, right? Like brawl doesn't make sense because it feels more human, right? Like it feels more like we're pugilists. And I'm like, that's not the vibe we're really going for here. Which is why I was leaning towards the violence. Right? Harm is good. Harm is a nice idea, actually. Something similar to harm. Hurt, detriment to service. Wound. Maul. Maul is good. Maul's a good word. Maul is a good word. Maul is a good word. What do we think, y'all? What do we think of the word maul? I think maul's a good word. But I don't think that's quite abstract, right? Like, that's a verb now. That's a verb. Maul is a verb. Okay, let's make a list. Okay, so this is fight is normal. We got maul, which is a verb. It's not technically abstract. Ooh, do you know what we could do for abstract? We could do like animal features, right? We could do animal features, right? So like for example, with fight, we could do like claw. We could do claw, right? Or claw teeth, something like that, right? Claw fang, right? We could do claw fang, right? with con and resilience, right? We can do. What we could do is pelt. Something like that, right? Uh, as in fur. We could do pelt or hide, you know. And then for agility, oof, what is a good one for agility? If we do claw and fang, pelt or hide, what's this? What's a good one for animal agility? Hmm. Hmm. What? How did that? Oh, hold on. Let me. Prince with 1,000. Oh, there he goes. Let's look at the quote. All the world will be your enemy, prince with 1,000 enemies, and whenever they catch you, they will kill you. But first they must catch you, digger, listener, runner. Prince of the swift warning. Be cunning and full of tricks, and your people shall never be destroyed. Hmm. This is like a. It's not quite abstract. Hmm. Hmm. They have one? Not quite. They don't have like a run here. Okay, something to think about. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas for a good one for agility. Tracking. Something to do with nose, I think. Something to do with nose. Tracking, tracking, tracking. Let's think. Hmm. Oh my goodness, he Borkin. Oh my goodness, he Borkin. Hmm. Tracking, terrifying, insight. Bang. Hide, like pelt, agility. Tracking. Hmm. Oh, nice series of adverbs there, Azra. Fight brutally, con relentless. I like fight brutally and relentlessly are very on theme. Inexorably. I that's the thing. What does that mean on first glance? How many people know the word inexorably? I know the name. I know what that word means, right? On first glance. Ruthlessly, I like. Ferally, I like also. Spitefully, I also like. These are great. It's only the agility. The agility is quite challenging. across the different setups is quite challenging, is what I'm realizing. Agility's the tough one. I mean, I guess we could go the basic answer and go swiftly. Hmm. But let's think about it, folks. Let's look at this. Okay, so what do we prefer? Let's. Yeah, it doesn't, right? Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. Hmm. I think maybe we should do a. I think what we should do right now. Fervently. Ooh. Passionately. Ooh. Fervently is good. I mean, also. Interesting. Okay. I think, okay, I was going to make us vote between, and maybe I still will. Hold on. Maybe I still will. Because I'll be very curious to see how people feel. Well, okay, we're going to vote if we prefer the abstract or if we prefer the adverbs. So, first, first we're going to vote on that. I'm going to put up a poll. I'll put up a poll. All right. Uh, adverb stats. That's not how you spell adverb. Stats or abstract stats. Adverb. I promise I can spell. And abstract. Okay. Let's vote. Because I think if we just hammered out what we're doing, right? Because once we vote and once we decide, then I can tell you how I would adjust. How I would adjust some of these. Let's see. Let's see. What are the polls looking? Ooh, pretty close. So far, we got 67% over for adverb, 33% over for abstract. Let's see. Let's see. Still got a little bit more, but yeah, I have ways for us to adjust. I'm very, very excited. Yeah, while we're doing this, what I will do is we'll grab Azra's text here. We're gonna plonk them there. Almost out of time, folks. Make sure you get your votes in. All right. Adverb. All right. So the votes are in. All right. I like Ava because what we currently have feels like it comes from feeling mentality, while a lot of abstract feels like it comes from physicality. Both work, but the adverbs are including the themes faster for me. No, I agree. I think we're happy with brutally, right? I think brutally is great. I think relentlessly is also pretty good. Now, fairly is pretty good too. I like fairly. I like terrify spitefully. Love that too. Now, we've got these three, right? Tracking ruthlessly, agility inexorably, not relentlessly. So let's go back here. I looked up zealously, right? Which I think this like fervently, which I think isn't quite as powerful. But here we have quite a few words that we can use. I looked at doggedly, and that feels good, right? Because doggedly, you know, a dogged determination. The detective doggedly pursued. Doggedly pursued. So, what we could do, I think that's great for tracking too. So, change track, because ruthlessly is great. Is it for tracking? I'm not sure. So, we're going to put doggedly instead. All right, now we have agility and inexorably. What can we do here? Right? And with that, there's ardently, but not quite. Ardent, it's more feelings, emotions, not quite agility. Because let's see. Hastily. Hastily is interesting. Wildly, I like. I just wonder if it's too vague. Like, just by a bit, you know what I mean? Brutally. Relentlessly. Hastily. Doggedly. Barely. Spitefully. This looks good, no? This looks good, no? What do we prefer? Hastily or zealously? Are you looking for your food, buddy? I put it away. You're gonna have to wait till dinner time. You gotta eat on time, buddy. Sorry. Looking at the words, I think hastily might fit the theme of the other words better. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. All right, y'all. I think we have our stats. GG. We got brutally. We got relentlessly, hastily, doggedly, verily, and spitefully. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Gail. That was exactly what I was thinking of. Because I was like, oh, is hasty too mean and too negative? And I was like, we literally have brutally, relentlessly, doggedly, fairly, and spitefully. If anything, it fits. Yeah, I think we did it. All right, wonderful. So we now have the names of our stats, right? Which is great. So now that we've named them, I think now we can go back to the dice pool. Mm-hmm. Resources, objectives. Okay, yeah, let's go to the dice pool. I'm just trying. Okay, so now, before we move to the dice bit, I'm a little caught by the stats and the numbers. So the 7 of them all focus on fighting through Occupy Paris to drink. These are mostly stolen from a game. Da 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 da. Small description. Da 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 da. Brawl and shoot get a lot more use than con or search. Deliberately building more opportunities to use those stats will solve this. Class Grace is an all-rounder, more threes than any other characters and no fours. But where are you getting the numbers from, my friend? Where are you getting the numbers from? That's what I want to know. These are rolled. Any showing 3 or less are discarded, and the remaining successes are allocated to different. Hmm. Mm-hmm. I just want to know where the numbers come from. Where did you get the numbers? Let's look at the clever stuff. Hmm. I'm not sure, cause like runs on a pool. These are rolled. Any showing 3 or less are discarded. The remaining successes are allocated to different mechanical outcomes. The fiction behind the action determines which of the character's traits to use. Yeah. The established characters are pinned down by enemy fire. Player wants to use brawl, punch their way out. Da, 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 da. Results of 6 are criticals. 2 regular successes may be used to activate special rules. So if we're looking at assumes each stat is valuable. Da 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 da. Usually somewhere between 4 to 8 stats provide enough variety without overcomplicating things. This is just how to name them. Specialties don't. Yeah, and then we immediately jump here. Okay. So if we look at this, hitting stuff, shouting, being tough. All stats unique to each character, who each have 3. All skills add a single die to the pool when used. Okay. So this one, okay, this one adds a single die. So is something of an all-rounder with more threes than any other character. Does that mean he rolls 3 dice? So you roll 2 2 dice otherwise. I mean, that would make sense. 4 is quite strong, no? Is that how that works? Is that how that works? Hold on, where's my... That's what it looks like, right? Am I overthinking this? I might be overthinking this. I might be overthinking this. The number equals the number of dice in the pool. How many people have submitted? Okay. I feel less sad about not submitting anything yet. All right. Okay. So, yeah, I think that's what that is. Okay, so let's look at his stats again. 2, 3, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2. Okay. Okay. So each stat is the number of dice you roll in the pool, and then you add more based on the additions. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. We're good. We are good, actually. All right. Ooh. With that, let's make a new tab. I think we're ready to actually have a game text tab. So here is where we actually write the game. This is where we actually write the game. So we're going to have a section for statistics. And we're going to choose a different font. By God, we're going to choose a different font. What's a nice monster font? That's nice. Ah! We're going to put in parentheses, insert game name here, because we haven't actually named this game. This game exists in a strange nebulous space where we do not know what the name is. We will figure that out later. That's for future Val to worry about. That's for future Val and future chat to worry about. The following statistics, parentheses, stats, and gameplay. We don't care about the sentence. We just getting words on paper. Alrighty, folks, remember that. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Okay. Actually, should we do an invisible table here? Maybe we should do an invisible table. Hold on. Insert table. Okay. Then what we're going to do is put delete. Endlessly. This just helps us with formatting a little bit better. Hastily. That's how I spell hastily. Doggedly. Barrelly. And spitefully. Wonderful. And then I'm going to just bring that a little Cool. Do. Now I have to define all of these. Again, we're not going to let perfect be the enemy of good here. We can add it and make it more beautiful and flavorful later. We're just putting words on paper. So this is how swiftly, quickly, or your character in space. All right. And here is how intensely or intently character tracks its quarry. Actually, maybe we should just make it simple. Maybe we should just make it maybe we just make it simple. Fast or swift. Not even that. Your characters. We should decide what we're calling the monsters. We should decide what we're calling the monsters. Forsaken beasts. Right. Your beasts. Speed and we should just call it what it is. Your Forsaken beasts, speed and dexterity. Your Forsaken beasts. Ability to track. And hunt. To terrify and unsettle. Spitefully. Am I mixing this up? I might be mixing this up. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I am mixing it up. I am mixing it up. Yeah, Forsaken beasts. Forsaken beasts. Instinct to read and not read. To sense and feel. Love. Ooh. We're cooking. We're cooking. Do you see this, folks? Work in progress title idea. The Forsaken left to slaughter. Ooh. That's really good, Azra. We gotta make a note of it. Make a note of it. On the top here. I like that. Because my idea was just like what's written on the tin, the Forsaken Beasts. Um, and then yours is the Forsaken Left to Slaughter. I mean, we could combine them to make Forsaken Beasts Left to Slaughter. Spicy. Spicy. We're cooking. We're cooking, y'all. We're cooking. All right. Back to the game text. All right. Forsaken Beasts. How am I going to describe this? I don't want to straight up say Constitution. There are other ways to say it, but every word for it has physique. Ooh, resilience. Resilience is a good one. Resilience. Tenacity. Let's say that. Resilience and tenacity. Very good, very good. Woo! Let's stretch, everybody. Join me in stretching. Ugh. The Forsaken Beasts, potency of violence. Fighting prowess. Yeah, let's do that. We can edit later. Fighting prowess. All right, perfect. Now, are you ready for this? Ready for this? Ready for this? Then I'm gonna go. Haha! Look at that. Now we don't have to deal with the table. Now it looks beautifully formatted. Isn't that nice? All right, so very nice, isn't it? Put this up. Make this bold. Woo! Look at that. Look at that. Ain't that pretty? Ain't that pretty? Yes, I just changed the table color. Make it white. No one, nobody needs to know. Nobody needs to know. I think you could. I'm sure there's a way for you to like actually remove the borders, but ain't that pretty? Ain't that wonderful and pretty? All right, so we just did our stats. And then we're going to write down that the number associated, assigned, I should say, assigned to each stat represents how many dice how many dice for your Forsaken Beasts actions. Also, about this entire stream and thinking of what beasts look like, I've been imagining the vibes of elemental incarnations from Lorwyn and Clips. Ooh, I want to see. I don't think I've seen them yet. I haven't pulled any of them yet. Ooh, yes. I mean, this is kind of the vibe, right? I'm thinking about wistfulness. I'm thinking about the sea. I'm thinking about massive mysteries. Vigor. Yeah, like these. Definitely like these, like the elemental incarnations. Yes. Yes, exactly this. Exactly this. This is exactly the vibe I was thinking. Yes. Yes, exactly this. These these are the vibes. These are the vibes. I want people to lean into the weirdness of it all, right? Belonging. Love I oh wait, I have belonging. I have this card. Vibrance. Yes, like this. Just weird guys. I want people to lean into the weirdness of it all. Well, obviously I have to write that in the game somewhere. Just that. All right. Okay, now we got our statistics. We should have a section here about the dice pool, where we're essentially going to regurgitate the rules. But it's good to have it on paper, because that's one less thing for us to write. So, insert game name here is powered by the Havoc engine by Rowan, Rook, and Deckard. Um, Therefore, it uses a dice pool system to. This is a dice pool system of six-sided dice. Six-sided dice. Yeah. Bracket d6. There we go. Then those who show a roll a number of 3 and below are discarded. Are allocated to different hmm different cups. All right. And we'll just write. Obviously, we have to figure out the outcomes. Results of 6 or higher are critical successes. And count is to regular. regular successes or may activate special abilities or boons. There we go. There's clearly some. I'm probably going to. I have a copy of Eat the Reich. I'm going to download it and read it properly later. I have it in my laptop, but I don't have it on my PC. So I will read the system again just to read through the dice pool and the statistics. All right, since we've done this, right? Should I start thinking about characters? Should I start thinking about characters? We got a bit of time. We've been streaming for a couple hours. Let me just double check my husband hasn't messaged me. We should think about the little guys, exactly. So let's go back to concepts. Oh. Hello. I'm not letting you out to be a menace outside. I'm sorry. No. You can poke me with your nose all you want. No. Hmm. Bet. Leave it. There you go. I give you squishes. I give you squishes. The little guy, Sheev, I know. He's being a menace today. I'm not letting you out. I'm sorry. I know that's what you want, but I'm not letting you out. I'm sorry. You're just gonna go out there and you're gonna bark at everybody. You're gonna scream your lungs out. You haven't eaten your breakfast. You're probably grumpy. You already went to the bathroom, so I know that's not why you're going. So please settle down, please. Thank you. My goodness. He's doing the frustrated scritch. Because I'm not letting him out. I know what you're doing. I'm aware. Alright. With that, folks. Let's talk characters. Right? Let's talk about characters. Talk about the Forsaken Beasts. Right? We have a few concepts that we were playing around with before. The last of, the broken, the abandoned, the changed. One of them, I believe it was Jovi that said the last dog on Earth last time. And I've been, very, very into it ever since. That's something that has stayed with me. So I think one of them is the last dog on Earth. The last dog. I think that's one of them. Oh yeah, we could definitely have an amphibious bestie. I'm sorry for the last dog on Earth. It left me before I realized what I meant. Listen, it hit me. It struck a chord with me, and now it's one of the characters. So we got the last dog. Do we want to give the axolotl changed? Oh, abandoned. I don't think broken matches. Maybe abandoned or changed. What do we think? Since you voted for salamander, axolotl, amphibious friend. What are we feeling? Oh, I got a message in my WhatsApp. Abandoned like the cave skipper. All right. We could literally say abandoned. Would you prefer abandoned axolotl or abandoned amphibian? Which do you think is better? What do we think? Axolotl or amphibian? I guess we should probably go axolotl. It fits more. But since this is Ozra's pitch, amphibian can make it weirder. I let amphibian. All right, amphibian. The abandoned amphibian. Wonderful. We should also think about how many characters we want. There's 4 here. Should we do 6? I think 6 is a good number, right? 6 is a good number of pre-gens. So we have the changed. We have the changed. Broken. What other sad adjectives? What other sad adjectives can we add? We need 2 more. Dejected. Ooh. Let's see. Dejected. Yo, why not just go for the jugular? Let's just go heartbroken. Oh, Gail and I have same brain. Yeah, let's just go for the jugular. Let's call it heartbroken. The beaten but isn't that. Ooh, very strong implications there. Fatigued. The weary. Weary's good. Right? You know, heartbroken and broken are very similar, so I'm gonna change the broken to the burned. That we can have some fun with that. 5. All right, one more. What do we think about the weary? The weary? Hello, Jake the Goat. Welcome on in on the YouTube chat. This is so we are currently designing a game for the Havoc Engine Game Jam. So the Havoc Engine is created by the creators of Rowan Rook and Deckard. It powers the game Eat the Reich, and it's really good. It's a great system. And the folks at Rowan Rook and Deckard are hosting a game jam all of this month for folks to come in, use the Havoc Engine, and hack their own games. I'm so glad to hear that you think that it looks promising from the few seconds that you've seen. We've been co-working. We're live, just as for you to know, we've been live on Twitch as well as YouTube. So thank you for showing our YouTube chat. It's lovely to see you here. And yeah, I think this game's got legs, y'all. I think it's got legs. Was looking up other words for beaten. It was looking for words to subjugate it. Okay. So let's think about it. Let's think about this. With, I think it's got hands, tbh. It's got claws and fangs. That's what it's got. All right. Okay. Let's look at our characters. Right. We've got the last dog. Right. A lot of the stuff is going to be related to dog. A lot of it's also going to be related to the fact that it's the last of its kind. Right. When we talk about the abandoned amphibian, it's not just that it's alone, right? We're going to distinguish it from last. We have to talk about like the connotations of being abandoned, right? The grief of it all, right? The change is obviously going to be talking about how this thing has been uh extremely changed, transformed against its will, right? The bird, we have a lot of fun with bird. This is going to be talking about like hell hath no fury, right? This is probably going to deal with like vengeance and anger. Perhaps we could even go literal with actual burning stuff. Heartbroken, of course, we're going to talk about ooh, is heartbroken too close to abandoned? I don't think so. I think we can make heartbroken. I think we can make heartbroken a very fun, like, semi-nurturing sort of like character stuff. Like this is someone who wants to care, but is broken in that way, right? So the question for this one, we've talked about like beaten, right? We talked about weary. We talked about weary. We talked about beaten. And then we have what Gale has brought on here as subjugated, right? So the real question is, what is the vibe we want to have with this, right? Is it that we want it to be like this is a creature that's tired? Is this a creature that has been subjugated? Maybe it was held captive before. What do we feel is the next vibe we want to hit here? The used. Ooh, as a similar connotation to the subjugated. Or do we like both and we just have 7 characters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or do we like both and have 7 types of characters? What do we think? Gonna sip of water while we are thinking about this. Because I think there's something really fun about the idea of like the subjugated, the used. It has a very interesting like baked in backstory. The used just makes me think of that song that crawls like a worm from a bird. Oof. I like both, but depends on how they're fleshed out. Okay. I was thinking the burdened, like Beast of Burden, to play with the theme of subjugation, but that might be a bit unclear. But the language, the entendre we're playing with there is quite fun. So let's say we have the burdened. This is the one that represents like being used, subjugated. Right? The weary. I don't know. Because I'm trying to think of what an ability, what would something that is weary, that's tired. The last dog, abandoned amphibian, changed something, the burned this, the heartbroken, the weary, and the burdened. All of its edges sanded down. What do you do, weary one? What do you do when you're tired? Very fun. You know what? Let's just keep it. Let's keep it. We can scheme on it later. All right, we got our characters. At least the first five. Let's think of animals. Let's think about monsters, folks. Anyone have a monster they want to submit? For any of these, we have the changed, the burned, the heartbroken, the weary, and the burdened. You know, seeing it now, maybe we shouldn't use burdened because it looks too similar to burned. So maybe... Do we prefer used or subjugated? Maybe used is more powerful, eh? The used. Unless we change the burned to something else. Ooh! I am big brain. Big brain. We changed burned to scorned. Big brain. That's what it. That's it. That's the thing. There it is. Also, you voted for Avian for Heartbroken. Ooh, yeah. Let me. Bird. Synonyms with Avian. Aerial float. Oh, I guess that doesn't help. Should we? We said amphibian. We said dog. Fledgling. Out of agile, but we alliteration positive and neutral. I think we're alliteration positive. We have the last dog. We have the abandoned amphibian. We'll just make a note that this is an avian creature. I see Gail has suggested a plant. What would be good for a plant? Maybe changed? Oh my goodness, my baby boy is screaming. Screaming his lungs out. See, this is why I'm not letting you outside, because the second I do, you're just gonna be mean to people. No apologies for the question needed, Jake. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Let me deal with this guy. BRB really quick, y'all. He's screaming his lungs out. BRB. Hi, I'm back. I had to make baby boy sit so he's not barking. Alright. Let's go back. But to answer your question, Jake the goat. When we're talking about monsters, in our earlier concepts, when we were building out this game, we were thinking of these. So if you've ever watched Princess Mononoke, we were thinking about creatures that have the same sort of like eldritch, unfathomable quality as like the spirits of the forest, right? So kind of to answer your question, kind of like definitely very more folkloric, more general and more room for something weird. We're not looking directly into like D&D or real, like we are obviously pulling from like real life animals, but we're playing in the weirdness of it all for sure. So like when we're naming these specific things, but then we're gonna definitely we're definitely going to be like writing like flavor text to kind of like expound on the weirdness and maybe folkloric nature of these creatures. But excellent question. Excellent question. Because now I'm thinking the last lupine. Ooh. I guess it makes sense. If we're going to make a what bird name starts with H then? Before we commit. With H. Hawk. Heron. Hummingbird. Are herons? Because I'm assuming that the reason why Azra brought up heron was because of the, well, not heron, sorry, like birds, is because of the, the concept of like lovebirds and how one dies without the other, right? Like I'm assuming that's the direction that Azra was thinking in. So our herons, list of birds to start with H. Let's go. Hawfinch, hawk, Himalayan, monal, honey eater, hummingbird. Let's look up herons. Herons are monogamous. How interesting. Yeah, so we could probably use herons. Not that I'm implying that a creature has to be monogamous to be heartbroken. But like I was more worried. I was mainly worried about like, oh, heron, because I don't know anything about birds, but like these creatures are solitary, and then we called it like the heartbroken. That's what I was thinking about. Do we prefer hawk or heron? That's a great question. Do we prefer hawk or heron? Heron? Okay. Ozra says heron. Also, I saw the changed chimera. We're definitely doing that. That's sick as hell. That's sick as hell. Burdened bovines also pretty good. I'm also gonna look up like typical beasts of burden just in case. Let's see. I didn't mean the comic book. Buffaloes, llamas, horses. That's the question. Do we prefer more general bovine, or do we want, to call it like bison or buffalo? That's a thought. Scorned serpent, love. Love. Love, love, love. I like herons because it affects the softness. Yeah, let's go heron. Let's go heron. Ooh, I like bison if we go specific animals. I mean, we're already going. If we only have one, I'm quoting the amazing Eugene Lee Young from Try Guys, formerly of the Try Guys. Eugene said something during Keith's wedding when they were planning stuff around like the wedding and stuff like that, where someone lost like a jacket or a pair of pants or something, and he was like, if only one person is wearing a different colored pants, it's a mistake. But if two people are, it is intentional, right? It is a pattern. So since we're already going heron, I think it's okay for us to go bison, for sure. The burdened bison. The burdened bison, the heartbroken heron, scorned serpent, changed chimera, abandoned amphibian, the last dog. What do we want for weary? What do we want for weary? Wallaby, walrus, warthog, wasp, waterbuck, weary worm. Ooh, worm. Worm. I really like worm actually. Yeah. I like it because one, we're acknowledging insects, right? But also, right? I think it's super like it fits the feel of it, right? Like the movement, like the sluggish movement. I think that's great. Also, Jake has sent us something. Someone had mentioned a plant for the changed one, but since you had mentioned monsters, I couldn't help but think of I do not know how to pronounce this because this is Irish and I do not want to butcher it. So let's look this up. Ooh. Oh, this is sick, y'all. Y'all, this is sick. It's a water spirit. Ooh, this is sick. This is sick. This is so sick. Can we come up? Can we come Can we come up with something? It's similar to the Kelpie. Interesting. Ooh. What can we do? What can we do? I mean, this could be what our chimera looks like. We could describe our chimera looking like this, but I also want to. This chimera is pretty nice and open. If we wanted to add another one, do we want to add another, another character? Also, hello, Bliss Starbean. Thank you so much for showing up. And congratulations on your 5 stream streak. Thank you so much for continuing to watch the channel and support us. I appreciate it. What do we think? What do we think? Does this guy deserve his own character? Last Lupine? Yeah, let's do that. Last Lupine. The last Lupine, Abandoned Amphibian, Changed Chimera, Scorned Serpent, Heartbroken Heron, Weary Worm, Burdened Bison. She takes the form of a horse, specific to the Kelpie. Ooh. Fiercest, most dangerous of water horses. Often mistaken for the Kelpie. Ooh. Shapeshifter. So here's the question. Here's the question. We're going to make another character for this. But here's the question. Should we give it its, like, should we just make it a subgrouping? Like, call it a water spirit? Or should we call it a water horse? Right? I mean, about the amphibian, I think we're okay because we have chimera and serpent. I guess it's just slightly more general. But I leave it to Azra because this was Azra's request. But yeah, question: do we want to actually use its Irish name? Do you want to say water spirit? Do you want to say water horse? What do we feel? What do we feel? And then we also have to think about a vibe to assign to it. There are so many, yeah, and they've already mentioned that it's distinct from the Kelpie. Ooh, we could call it an elemental. Oh, the Nakin. What are you, friend? Mythical. Sure. Oh, is that what it's called? So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I, as someone who's not from these cultures, I do feel a sense of discomfort about using their specific names, right? Because it's not mine. I don't know much about them, right? But I do like the idea of having some type of like water spirit, some sort of like, because right now a lot of the creatures that we have, other than the chimera, are very, very rooted right now, very rooted in reality, right? Obviously, we're going to add weirdness to them, but they're all very rooted in reality. But the chimera is standing out by itself. So, is there something similar that we can do to maybe elemental? Is elemental good? But we can play around with something a little bit more um otherworldly, for lack of a better term. Hello, Creedles. Welcome on in. I see you're a first time chatter, but hello, welcome on in. I'm Valiant Dorian. I use him his pronouns. This is my channel where we talk about TTRPG things, play video games, and wear many hats. I do so many things. But welcome on in. We are making a game. In fact, we're making a game for the Havoc Engine Game Jam, hosted by Rowan, Rook, and Deckard, the creators of Eat the Reich, Heart the Dungeon, and a bunch of other cool games like Honey Heist, right? So they are making this game jam, and they want folks to make a game using their engine, which is what we're doing. Uh, and with that, we're making a game. This game that we're making currently is the concept is monsters taking down hunters before they have been taken out, right? So this game is about forsaken beasts, these sort of otherworldly beasts that have been hunted and are now retaliating back. So right now we're building up some of these key character concepts to build this game out. My point was that there are lots of different versions of these creatures, different cultures. So you should be able to find create a name that works for you. I 100% agree with you with Star Bean. Absolutely. And I think that's where we were successful with the chimera, because even though the chimera as a term is very Greek in origin, um, there are lots of cultures that have chimeras, similar to the fact that we have lots of like versions of water horses and water spirits, right? So I wonder what vibes folks are feeling with. Also, hi Spectre, how you doing, friend? Welcome on in. I agree, Azra. I'm just sleeping now. Oh, did I miss something from Azra? I missed something from Azra. I feel like we could stick with the more general amphibians. There's still Serpent and Chimera. I want to get something that would be a bit generic. Hell yeah. What do we feel about elemental? Is there a better word for elemental? Incarnation? Incarnation's good. But does it exude the same energy we want from like water horse, right? Like that kind of maybe elemental is the term. But then we need to come up. Oh, I'm cooking. I'm cooking. Hold on, hold on. Your boy's cooking. Hold on. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm about to reignite some memories in some of the transplaner watchers in our chat right now. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm cooking. I'm cooking. Let's fucking go. Let's fuck empty elemental. Y'all, avoid water horse. Avoid water spirit. Yo, we're cooking. We're cooking. We're cooking. Look at this. Yeah, 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 yeah. This is it. This is it. And we get a bunch of different words too, different letters. Last lupine, abandoned amphibian, changed chimera, scorned serpent, heartbroken heron, weary worm, burdened bison, empty elemental. Let's go. Your cooking started a grease fire. Hell yeah. Thank you, Jake, for your recommendation. We have now named it the empty elemental. This is sick. This is delicious. This is wonderful. Well done, us. I'm very, very proud and very, very happy with this, y'all. I'm very, very, very happy with this. This is great. I'm very, very pleased with this. I think that's good. I think we've got some very overtly weird guys. We've got a lot, more grounded creatures. They all hurt. They all hurt. I think we did it. We got our character concepts. Very, very strong character concepts, I think. Hell yeah. I really like this. We got our stats. We got our stats, and we have our dice pool. Obviously, I still need to figure out the kinks there. But very, very good. Random thoughts are like dying stars waiting to be caught. Absolutely. Agreed. Beautifully put, Jovi. Beautifully put. All right. I think with that, I don't know if I have the power in me to write more than this creatively right now. I think I've been using up my juices. Been using up the brain juice. So now I think a cool thing for us to do with the remainder of our time is to think about this. Should we think about names? So far in the list, we have the Forsaken Beasts, named after the characters, right? The Forsaken Beasts. We have the Forsaken Left to Slaughter, which is a suggestion from Azra. And then my third recommendation is the Forsaken Beasts Left to Slaughter. But I would like to open the floor to the folks in the chat, both Twitch and YouTube, to suggest if you would prefer, if you have a different name for the game like this, some ideas for names, or if you have a preference for any of the ones that are currently listed. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And while y'all are thinking and cooking, I'm gonna think and cook on what food I want to eat for lunch because I'm hungry. I've forgotten to eat breakfast because I was so busy trying to get baby boy to eat that I forgot to eat myself. But what are we feeling, folks? Forsaken beasts, the Forsaken left to slaughter, the Forsaken beasts left to slaughter. What are we feeling? What are we feeling for the names? I wanted to keep it vague, hence why I didn't include beasts in my title idea. That's so funny because I had the opposite I had the opposite instinct of like I was like, I want people to know they're monsters and weird guys in here. It's so funny. We both had opposite instincts there. What do the rest of the folks feel? The Forsaken Goat recommends. Incredible. Hold on. I can ask my brother what his thoughts. I'm gonna wait for him to come out from washing his hands. I'll ask him. He's my brother. He's driving right now, but that's his recommendation. Oh, that's cute. Said, tell your brother I said hi. Thank you for your recommendation. The Forsaken. So the recommendation is just the Forsaken? Just the Forsaken. Gotcha. Just the Forsaken. I want to get my brother in on this. Anna. Oh, yes. Go to your YouTube viewer. Oh, yes. Oh, hi. That's awesome. Note it, note it, note it, note it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I kind of like the third one. The left to slaughter part I think is fun since it can be taken as left to die or remaining ones the hunters are trying to kill. Mmm. I bring my brother in for tie breaking. Anna, do you want to vote on which game title for my stream? So we're making a game, for a game jam, and the concept of the game is monsters retaliating, like these sort of like unfathomable, monsters retaliating against the hunters who have been hunting them for a long time. We've got a few names. Which do you like? Do you like the Forsaken Beasts? That's option one. Option two, the Forsaken Left to Slaughter. All right, that's too long. The third one is the Forsaken Beasts Left to colon Left to Slaughter, like a subtitle. And then the third one, the last one is the Forsaken.
The one or three.
One or three? Okay. Okay.
Maybe make a franchise and the third one's the best.
Hmm.
Maybe episodic. These stories until this is led to the slaughter. Next can be something a different variation.
Ooh, he does make a very, very good point. My brother, so my brother voted for either one or three, Forsaken Beast or Forsaken Beast Left to Slaughter. The third one gives us like fun things if we want to do like a supplement in the future, which is pretty cool. How do you have a title that has multiple meanings about what constitutes a beast? I really like Left to Slaughter, but on its own controversially. Ooh. Left to Slaughter. What do you think of Left to Slaughter? That's good as well. All right, we're gonna do a poll. Right, y'all, get your voting fingers ready. We're gonna poll. Thank you. We're gonna do a poll. All right, so we got Forsaken Beasts. We got the Forsaken Left. Oh, this is not Left to Slaughter. I can't put the full title in there because it's too long, apparently. And then, so the Forsaken Beast. I have to summarize it. Left to Slaughter, and then we have the Forsaken, and then we have Left to Slaughter. All right, y'all, we're gonna vote. Vote. Go ahead and vote while I catch up on chat. Forsaken Folly, Forsaken Fauna. fauna feels too general. The reason why I leaned towards beasts was because of how monstrous they are. But Kratos is very cool that you're IRL brothers and he's hanging on YouTube and you're hanging on Twitch. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for supporting. I kind of like the third one, the left to slot part. I think is fun since it can be taken as left to die, remaining ones the hunters are trying to kill. Yeah. All right, how are we doing on the titles so far? All right, we've got a massive lead for the Forsaken Beasts left to slaughter. It's a big one. While we're doing that, actually, let me get my... while we're getting that done, we can put the title text at least down. All right, y'all. Remember, you can buy additional votes with your Otso sons. Feel free to use them to skew the vote one way or another. But so far, the winner, the clear lead is Forsaken Beast left to slaughter. Jake Goat in our in our YouTube chat says, "I do like Forsaken Beast more than just the Forsaken." Hell yeah! I love that we're all on the same page in terms of vibes. We're just like being able to alliterate them in very, very different ways. All right. All right, all right. Also, thank you so much, Credos, for the follow. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much for following. I also do wish the title showed the beasts are fighting back, and TFB with subtitle gives that eventuality for potential hacks. Exactly. Low-key a little envious that somehow you got him to watch streamers. So I've been asking for months to have him look at my stream. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad that I could provide this. I hope I've inspired you, Jake, to reach out to more streamers, to check out more chats, because there's so many amazing creators. In fact, even on my Twitch channel, I've got like a list of recommended streamers at the bottom of my page of folks I really, really enjoy. Also, for folks, we do have a Discord. It is a super chill Discord. We talk about tabletop role-playing games. We talk about gaming. It's a super chill community. We're very, very chill and welcoming. And we're not going to be flooding your notifications. That's the best part about our Discord. But yeah, I'm so glad I'm able to like bring you into the world of streaming. I'm so glad to hear that. All right, I think the winner is, based on this poll, the winner is indeed the Forsaken Beast left to slaughter. And do you know what this means, folks? This means that, hey, if y'all want to make DLCs and supplements to this, y'all are more than welcome to. So let's type in that title, the Forsaken Beast, and then we're going to add a subtitle, left to slaughter. And with that, folks, would you look at that? Would you look at that? Let's change the font here a little bit. The Forsaken Beasts left to slaughter. And then we're gonna put a little thingy here. Like heading 3. Essential again. A Havoc engine game. I think this like that, and I'm gonna bring it a little. There we go. There we go. Forsaken Beasts left to slaughter, a Havoc engine game. Hell yeah, folks, we've named the game. We've achieved so much today. We've achieved so much today. I gotta wrap up soon. Thank you so much. Gonna hang out with my husband soon. The sleepiness got to me. How did the game design go? Hi, Grace. No worries. I'm glad you took the time to rest, friend. We achieved so much today, everyone. And also update to Grace. We've achieved so much today. We um we figured out what our stats are, which are here: brutally, relentlessly, hastily, doggedly, ferally, and spitefully. And we've determined what they are. We have written down the dice pool and how the rules work. Obviously, I need to work out some of the kinks there, but it's written, it's there on paper, right? We have figured out all of our pre-generated characters, because that's a requirement for this particular engine, is that you have pre-gens, not character creation. So we've got the last lupine, the abandoned amphibian, the changed chimera, the scorned serpent, the heartbroken heron, the weary worm, the burdened bison, and the empty elemental. This is huge. This is huge, we just did. And of course, this game now has a name. This game now has a name, which is wild. We didn't have a name for this game. We had, look, y'all, we only had that technically 3 sessions, because the first session we ever did was just reading through the engine. But really, we only had 2 sessions of streams where we have moved this game from concept to the page, right? That's 6 hours total, right? That's about 6 hours total. And I want to like take this moment to like, one, have everybody pat yourselves on the back, clap for yourselves, give yourselves a round of applause, right? This is an incredible, incredible moment here. Also, hello. Thank you so much, Unlucky Goat. Thank you so much. I'm assuming you're Jake. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you so much for following. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for the follow. But I do want to take a moment here, folks, to really, really congratulate you all and like show you all a lot of the reason why I do this game design on stream is to show folks and to demystify what game design looks like, demystify this like the process of game designing, and to like let people in on the joy of game creation and game designing together, right? It feels less scary that way. And just in 2 sessions, we moved from, this is where we started, y'all. This is where we started. We started with Monster Hunter, monsters taking down hunters, spirits in afterlife, escaping the underworld, escaping purgatory. And then we were like, all right, what kind of characters do we want to do? It's general exercises. And then we talked about key questions. And then we like named the beast, and we talked about like different ideas and different ability names. Like that's it. We just played around with concepts. And now look where we are. We're like, I would say we're like a third of the way through right now. We're a third of the way through the game in just 2 sessions of this game design stream. And I really want y'all to give yourselves a pat on the back. Thank you. I want to thank you all for sharing your creativity with me, for being so engaged, for like really, really having fun with the joy of creation here. We're cooking. We're making a game. And, you know, as it stands right now, we've got 19 days before the end of the game jam. And I am determined to get this game done, to get this game made. I'm feeling super inspired right now, right? To get this game super done and sorted. But like, y'all, amazing. Amazing. I'm so proud of you all. Well done. Well, Credos, don't worry about missing most of it. Don't worry about, you were here for a significant portion of it, dude. Don't you worry. And we're going to have more of these streams. This is not going to be the end of these streams. We're going to have more in the coming weeks, right? In the coming days, I should say. All right? And yeah, cheers for the realization of how much progress is made. And this is something, an activity that I want folks to do in, if you, whether it's game designing or any other creative venture, right? Take a moment whenever you're done doing a task to look back. Look back on where you start, which is why I highly recommend folks to have like separate, have a page that you dedicate to concept, have a page for the game text and more concrete stuff, so you can see how far you have come, see how far the iterations have come, and then you realize how much progress you have made, how much of an amazing job you have done, right? So thank you all so much. I really, really appreciate all of you being here. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us. Let me hop into just chatting cam off. Thank you so much, y'all. I really, really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting me. A special shout out to Creedles and Unlucky Goat for joining the stream and for joining this community. I really, really appreciate it. And, you know, shout out to everybody who's contributed to the game, who's shared their thoughts. You know, this game wouldn't be what it is without your contributions, right? Special shout out to all of you. I do want to pick your brain on something later. Just a quick question. Have you ever worked with RPG Maker MZ? No, I haven't. Is it similar to the other RPG makers? Where you can make your funny little games? I'm unfamiliar with it. It looks like a thing you can get on Steam to help you make your games. That's really cool. I've never touched an RPG Maker, but I am a firm believer of utilizing the resources that exist, right? The resources that exist within RPG makers to make your games. It's an engine. Yeah. I've seen other iterations of RPG Maker. But listen, anything that can help, anything that has beautiful human-made assets to help you make stuff, you should utilize it. There's so many people who make these really, really cool stuff. Yeah. Feel free to throw ideas. Listen, no worries. Thank you, Val, for offering us the space to come together, conceptualize, and socialize. Absolutely. I love taking part in the co-building of it all with everybody. But thank you all so much. Thank you for sharing the time with me. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's great to have you all here. Amazing. I'm just so proud of us. I'm so proud of us, y'all. Well done. All right. As we wrap up, folks, in terms of stuff that's coming out for the rest of the week. So today we had our game design stream. Tomorrow we'll be back with some more Marvel Rivals. Tomorrow morning specifically, we're going to be playing more Marvel Rivals. I am determined to climb out of Plat 3. I am determined we're going to climb out of Plat 3. We're going to get into Plat 2 and be on our way to hitting Diamond before the end of the season. I swear. We got to do it. We got to do it, right? So we're going to play some more Rivals tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. I will see you all here. I'll be co-streaming both on Twitch and on YouTube. On Friday, we will be doing some Wild Seed prep for my Wild Seed game with Keith. We're going to be writing down some lore, and also we're going to be specifically planning our dungeon crawl that Keith will finally be playing in. So please keep an eye out on that for Friday. On Saturday, we'll be back with Transplanar RPG, where we will be having a community stream. We're going to be playing Sock Puppet Court. It is time for Connie to answer for their crimes. It's time for Connie to answer for their crimes. And join us on Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, over on twitch.tv/TransplanerRPG for that. And on Sunday, folks, we will hopefully be back over on Vault Companions, playing the Fallout game Angels and Atoms. Our finale episode of Angels and Atoms over on Vault Companions. I hope to see you all there. And yeah, that's all my announcements for today. Thank you all so much. I really, really appreciate you. Feel free to follow me on my socials and support the show and support me. And thank you all so much. But before you touch that dial, everybody, we're going to go raid somebody. Let's go raid somebody amazing. Who's around? Who's around for us to raid? All right. Who's around? Just a Human is doing their One Piece game. We got Dimples doing Vampire the Masquerade. Bard is playing Twilight Princess. There's so many people online right now. Oh my goodness. Who should we raid? Dungeon Scrawlers is also playing. Oh my goodness, there's so many things, so many people. Ooh. Okay. Who do we feel like raiding right now? You know what? You know what? Let's go send some love to Dungeon Scrollers. We have not sent love to Dungeon Scrollers yet. Oh, they've already ended their stream. Never mind, we're not raiding Dungeon Scrollers. Did I say Dungeon Scrollers? No, I'm totally not saying that. Let's go raid Dimples. Let's go raid Dimples. Let's send some love to Dimples. Dimples is also offline, y'all! Come on, y'all. Why are y'all going offline so fast? Fine, we're raiding Just the Human. Oh my god, everyone's going offline right at the same time. Erica, don't be offline. Don't go offline as soon as I click on you. We're raiding Erica. Everyone go send some love over to Erica. Erica's playing Resident Evil Requiem. She's an amazing gamer. She's also an amazing speedrunner and AP performer. Oh my god, they're all hiding from me, exactly! Being so mean to me and my Spirit Bear community, how dare they? This is so homophobic. I love them. I love these people. It is late, so I don't blame them. But yeah, alright folks. Everyone's in? Ready to raid out? Alright, let's go send some love over to Erica, alright? Send some Spirit Bear love, okay? Alright, y'all. See y'all later. Have a fantastic rest of your time zone, okay? Take care. Bye-bye.